Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're wading into a really fascinating and frankly difficult question for this era of technology.
Right.
Is artificial intelligence fundamentally making us smarter? Or is it just making us faster, but, at the expense of our most essential thinking skills?
That tension is really the core of what we're looking at today. We've got a whole stack of sources here that explore this exact dynamic.
This dual dynamic.
Exactly. The incredible potential for cognitive growth on one hand, measured against the very real documented risk of what some are calling cognitive atrophy.
And these sources aren't just theoretical. We're talking empirical studies on software developers, on doctors, all the way to some pretty foundational philosophical work.
That's right.
Okay, so let's frame this. The sources all seem to say that AI's role is shifting. I mean, it's not just a tool anymore, like a calculator.
No, not at all. It's becoming a co-creator.
A teammate.
And the gains in speed are just. They're irresistible. We've seen studies reporting something like a 34% increase in code production for dev teams. A 34% increase. So the question isn't if we use it.
No, it's how we manage the cost of that speed.
Precisely. Because the ultimate goal has to be achieving what researchers call cognitive synergy.
Or coevolution, right?
Coevolution, yes.
Yeah.
A framework where we're intentionally managing both the augmentation and the regression. The growth and the atrophy.
Because if we just optimize for speed,
Then we fall right into the first big trap. The shadow side of all that efficiency.
the cognitive offloading trap. We all see the promise, right? Speed, fewer errors, freedom from tedious work.
Of course. But the immediate cost to our minds when we delegate that core mental work. Well, that's what's so interesting.
And what is that immediate cost?
It's cognitive disengagement. So think of it like this. To turn information into real knowledge, you need to put in some intellectual effort.
Okay.
Researchers call this relevant cognitive load. And the studies on generative AI, they show that using these tools leads to a significant reduction in that load.
So the system is doing the heavy lifting for us.
The system does the synthesis. And the human brain basically says, great, thanks, I'll take a break now.
Which means even if we're processing the information, are we actually learning it? Are we encoding it?
The evidence suggests we're not. We even have neurological data for this.
From brain scans.
Yeah, one study used EEG monitoring, and it found that AI use correlated with markedly lower neural activity. You can literally watch the brain power down when it knows the AI is helping out.
That's genuinely unsettling. Like the brain just automatically downshifts. What does that do to something like, say, memory?
The implications are profound. In one study on essay writing, get this, a startling 83% of the users who used AI assistants were unable to accurately recall a passage they had just written.
Wait, 83%?
83?
That can't be right. That's not a small margin. If I write something, I should know what I wrote.
You'd think so. But it tells us we treat the AI like external storage, like a notebook or a search engine.
So the brain has no incentive to actually remember it.
None at all. If you know it's stored somewhere else, why bother? And that is the real danger of the productivity illusion. You produce more, faster.
But you retain almost none of it.
Exactly.
And this isn't just about writing essays. This has to apply to professionals who rely on complex reasoning. You mentioned medicine earlier.
The medical community is very aware of this risk. AI is incredible for data analysis, for processing patient histories. But the big concern is the deterioration of fundamental clinical judgment.
The human element.
The human element. Your physical examination skills, your ability to reason through an ambiguous case. If you just rely on the AI's diagnosis, those skills could erode.
And in software development, it's the same thing. You're risking the core skill of a coder.
Absolutely. The developer risks moving away from that deep algorithmic reasoning.
And towards just managing automated tasks.
They become a critic or a prompt engineer, not the architect of the logic itself.
That shift from originator to critic, that brings us perfectly to the next big problem, doesn't it? The failure of self-awareness.
The metacognitive trap.
Right. And metacognition is what exactly?
It's your brain's internal supervisor. Your ability to accurately judge how you're performing, what you know. It's crucial for self-monitoring.
And when we partner with AI, that supervisor gets fooled.
It gets fooled in a very surprising way. The research is consistent and honestly a little alarming.
How so?
Across different tasks, users consistently overestimated their AI-assisted performance by about 4 points.
4 points?
Yes. They didn't just feel more confident. They genuinely believed Their work with the AI was better than the top-performing humans who worked unassisted.
That is intense. Now, I would assume that the people with high AI literacy, the ones who get how it works, they'd be immune to that, right?
You would think so.
Hmm.
But that's where the really counterintuitive twist comes in.
Oh,
The data suggests the opposite. Higher AI literacy actually correlated with lower metacognitive accuracy.
wait, say that again. Knowing more about AI made them worse at judging their performance.
It seems so. Knowing how it worked seemed to make them trust it more, which made them less precise at judging their own contribution or spotting the AI's flaws.
That is a huge deal. That completely changes how you'd staff a tech team.
Yeah.
The people you expect to be your best critics are the most at risk.
It forces a total reevaluation. And here's another weird finding, the classic Dunning-Kruger effect.
Where unskilled people overestimate their ability.
Right. Well, it completely ceased to exist when AI was used. The AI seems to level everything out, blinding both the skilled and unskilled users to their real contribution.
Wow. The system is so good at making plausible output that it smooths out our own psychological benchmarks for what's good.
Exactly. And that overconfidence is a dangerous foundation for what we call automation bias.
Which leads to critical failures.
Two main types. First, errors of commission. That's where you follow an incorrect suggestion from the AI because you've just assumed it's right.
And the second.
Errors of omission, where you fail to intervene when the AI is clearly going off the rails simply because you stopped checking its work.
It's like the system trains us to become passive.
And that passivity gets worse when the AI has been right for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
We stop checking. The researchers have a great name for it. Learned carelessness.
Learned carelessness. I like that. Okay, so we can't just stop using AI. So what's the solution? How do we get that synergy you talked about?
It all comes down to intentional design. We have to transform the human's role from just being an executor of tasks.
To being an intelligent supervisor, critical evaluator, and strategic designer.
Exactly. We need systems that force us to stay engaged.
And is there proof that this kind of guided use actually works?
There is, and it's from those same neurological studies. Remember the essay writers who showed cognitive offloading?
Yes.
Well, the researchers tried something different. They had a group revise an essay they had written themselves, but using the AI as an editing tool.
So they were forced into an evaluation role.
Right. And in that condition, they maintained high brain connectivity. The critical engagement, the revision, that's what kept the brain working hard.
So that's the key takeaway for anyone listening. The verification and reflection part has to be mandatory. It's not about the first draft. It's about forcing the human to critically process the output.
It has to be. And researchers are developing frameworks to measure this. One is called cognitive coevolution.
And building on that, there's a proposed metric, something like a cognitive sustainability index, a CSI.
That's the one. It's a way to quantify the balance between human comprehension and task delegation. The idea is that an organization has to keep that index above a certain threshold, or they risk de-skilling their workforce long term.
I find that compelling, a metric for corporate cognitive health. But how does a system do that in real time?
Through something called adaptive autonomy.
Meaning the AI adapts its own level of independence.
Exactly. The AI can dynamically alter its level of autonomy, its LOA, based on the situation. The workload, the complexity, the risk.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Think of a cybersecurity operations center, a SOC. The routine high-volume stuff like filtering basic threats, that's delegated to AI with high autonomy. But as soon as an incident becomes really sophisticated or involve critical infrastructure, the system dynamically shifts control back. The AI's autonomy drops, and the human expert is forced to take over the complex decision-making.
The system adapts to make sure a human is in charge when it matters most.
Precisely.
You know, that takes us from human psychology into governance. And that leads to the biggest philosophical problem here, the accountability crisis.
We run straight into what they call the responsibility gap.
Because AI lacks consciousness, free will, intention, all the things we need to assign blame.
And if an autonomous system makes a choice that causes harm, who or what is responsible?
So we have to redefine agency itself. The sources bring up this idea of distributed cognition.
Right, which basically says that thinking can happen outside our skulls. It can be distributed across people and their tools, a sailor with their instruments, a writer with a notes app.
And those tools, they have cognitive and moral status. They shape our reasoning.
But they lack moral agency. They're still just tools.
So we can't hold the AI accountable like a person, but we can't pretend it's just a hammer either.
It's somewhere in between. And that's why this new framework was developed. It's called the emergent moral ecology, or EME.
And it moves beyond that binary, right? An agent is either moral or it's not.
Exactly. It moves toward a moral gradient, where significance and responsibility come in degrees. This allows for things like responsibility without blame,
So within this ecology, everything has its own moral niche, its job description.
a moral job description, yes. Take that medical AI we talked about. Its niche gives it high autonomy in data analysis,
But low autonomy in treatment decisions.
critically low. It can advise, it can analyze, but the final choice to prescribe a drug or perform a surgery, that authority remains human. Responsibility is defined by that specific position in the system.
You know, this whole evolution, from outsourcing memory to redefining moral responsibility, it suggests our minds are changing. The sources even have a name for our new identity.
They do. Homo promptus.
The ready human.
Right. It represents this transformation. First, we outsource recall. We live in a state of co-remembering with our devices.
And second,
Second, and maybe more important, our creative role shifts. The human becomes less of an originator of ideas and more of a curator of machine-generated outputs.
so our most valuable skill becomes prompting skills.
In essence, yes.
Yeah.
Our intelligence is measured by how well we can command the machine.
That's a profound shift. Okay, so we've gone from the productivity rush to the risk of atrophy, through this metacognitive trap of self-deception, and now to designing for synergy in this new moral ecology.
And if you connect it all back, the central challenge is still preserving human agency. Our ability to verify, to reflect, to intervene, all against this powerful psychological pull to just offload the work.
The systems have to be built to keep us engaged.
They have to.
Well, this really highlights the need for everyone, from individuals to entire organizations, to start monitoring these dynamics. But let me leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Go for it.
If AI makes us undeniably smarter in some ways, more efficient, better data processors, but it risks making us less wise by eroding our critical thinking and independent judgment,
Yeah.
how must we fundamentally change education and professional training? How do we ensure that all this new speed and complexity actually enhances rather than eliminates that uniquely human thing we call wisdom?
That requirement to use the efficiency while actively cultivating wisdom, that is going to be the defining tension for the next generation. It's where the human value is going to be.
A necessary challenge for all of us. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.